Right into Eternity by Matthew L. Phillips. Partaking in high-risk behaviors is essential to one's longevity. The story of Adam and Eve, the genesis of human society, was a high-risk behavior. Modern society condemns risk, implanting the word into people's minds with a negative connotation. It seems that in order to avoid challenge or meet safety regulations, fun has been watered down. In reality, risk, fun or not, creates invaluable life experiences that differentiate each person from the next. Fear is an all-consuming force. No one ever forgets experiences of true fear. Fear, then, is an outlet for memories, days we will never forget. It can sculpt the way we perceive ourselves based on our actions during these times. Thriving in moments of fear and taking risks is a talent that everyone has inside them. Those who use this talent to make memories in order to gain a deeper understanding of themselves are able to experience life in its most unadulterated form. Danger and fear are two very different things. Danger must be calculated. I learned this very important difference when I lost my sense of invincibility for the first time. It was a rainy Friday night in March of 2016. I had lacrosse practice. After 2 hours of relentless stinging from the cold, wet tendrils of rain that leached their frigid temperatures through my flesh and into my bones, I finally took shelter in the locker room. I peeled the ice cubes that were my pads off my body and put them in my bag. I caught up with my friends and we decided to get a celebratory pizza after practice. Being Colin was the only one with the car, he would be driving. Colin was quite recently licensed and not legally allowed to drive with passengers, but no matter, it was a 5-minute ride. The pizza was great. We waited 15 sociable minutes after we ordered our extra-large pepperoni pie. We indulged ourselves on the large slices of pizza that adhered to the pan with long, gooey strands of cheese connecting the adjacent slices. It was as if with every slice we grabbed, we were disconnecting Gisele Bundchen from her Siamese twin, Cindy Crawford, as they held on to each other in an attempt to prevent the inevitable separation of their beauty. After our meal, Cal, Jake, Bubba, and I hopped into Colin's 1999 Ford Explorer ready to head home. There were no seats in the back, so I sat parallel to the rear axle in the trunk, while Bubba and Jake sat with their backs to the driver and passenger seat. We realized we had finished dinner early and decided to drive around a bit before we returned homestead for the night. Colin turned the ignition on the old American warhorse, and its mighty 4-liter V6 heart sputtered to life. Our journey homeward began much like the Battle of Ypres, teeming with tears of heaven falling heavily upon the earth. We turned right out of the parking lot, singing along to the roars of Hell's Bells by AC/DC, with utter disregard for the slumber of those we passed. We reached the next stop sign and once again turned right. At this point, Brian Johnson was screaming, with the guitar of Malcolm Young playing in the background, as everyone in the car was jokingly banging their head to the beat of the music. We arrived at the next stop sign and turned left. Colin was moving quite briskly now. We approached the corner at 35 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. As we reached the apex, I felt a jerk, and we turned hard to the right. I looked up through the windshield and my vision began to blur as Brian Johnson bellowed. At this point, Colin slammed on the brakes and turned hard left into the drift, but he overcorrected and spun the car into the curb on the other side of the road. My recollection of the car tipping is that I went from laying down to standing to laying back down again, as the car rejoined solid ground. I immediately jumped out of the car, grabbed my gear, and in a blur I ran home, leaving Colin alone with his vehicle, not knowing where the others had run off to. I came home and slept inexplicably well that night. I was no longer invincible. I prevailed through the test of morality, and that is a feeling greater than invincibility. I woke up the next morning a new person. I didn't change the way I lived or become scared of driving, but I gained a new appreciation for life. Life is short, and for the most part uneventful, and I realized I need to make memories like the one from the night before, because those are the stories I want to look back on 30 years down the road. I realized that I believe the creation of memories is more important than succumbing to your super ego and missing out on the most exciting moments of your life. Our minds are nothing more than a collection of memories that sculpt our behaviors, so make the most and the best of your time on Earth. It's short. And remember, kids, this summer, just say no to drugs and alcohol.